As the ongoing trade war between the United States and China continues to shape global economic dynamics, China's leaders are publicly expressing confidence in their country's ability to navigate these turbulent waters. This sentiment was evident during a recent government-sponsored visit to Malipo County, a remote area in southwestern China, where officials showcased their achievements in poverty alleviation as evidence of their resilient development model. Vice Foreign Minister Chunying stated, "We have full confidence in the capability to overcome all difficulties," underlining Beijing's resolve in the face of external pressures, particularly from U.S. tariffs imposed by the Trump administration. The picturesque but impoverished village of Malipo, which is home to 233,000 residents scattered across several towns and village groups, stands as a testament to China's concerted efforts to eradicate poverty. In stark contrast to the city skylines of Beijing and Shanghai, Malipo's residents often struggle with basic amenities, including access to modern internet services. However, the per capita disposable income in Malipo has risen dramatically from a mere $69 in 1992 to approximately $2,300 last year. Officials attribute this progress to their extensive poverty alleviation programs, which have reportedly cost the Chinese government hundreds of billions of dollars since 2015. Yet while Chinese authorities project optimism, the reality on the ground reveals a more complex picture. Local vendors such as Lu Huixin express concerns about the economic downturn, noting that many shops are struggling to attract customers. Their sentiments reflect a broader unease about the structural imbalances within China's economy, which is currently grappling with slowing growth and a significant urban-rural divide. This divide poses challenges for Beijing as it seeks to stimulate domestic consumption and reduce its reliance on exports, especially as tariffs threaten trade relationships. The Chinese government has been keen to position its poverty alleviation efforts as a model for developing countries facing similar challenges. Lu Guiqing, a senior diplomat, highlighted the global significance of Malipo's experience, emphasizing that China's developmental approach, characterized by a blend of resource concentration and social spending, stands in contrast to the perceived failures of liberal free market capitalism. As China continues to navigate its internal challenges, the trade war with the U.S. remains a pivotal concern. The recent agreement to reduce tariffs has offered a glimmer of hope for both nations, suggesting a potential thaw in relations. While President Trump has previously expressed a desire to engage with Chinese President Xi Jinping to establish a broader trade agreement, the path to détente remains fraught with complexities. Trump's administration, unlike its predecessor, appears more willing to negotiate fundamental issues, which could lead to significant breakthroughs in trade and other contentious areas such as nuclear arms control. The U.S. and China find themselves at a critical juncture in their relationship, with both leaders now potentially open to dialogue. The prospect of a meeting between Trump and Xi could pave the way for addressing pressing economic concerns and geopolitical tensions. However, the pressure is on for both sides to act swiftly. Delays may allow hardline factions to gain momentum, reinforcing a narrative that favors confrontation over collaboration. In conclusion, while China's leaders project an image of confidence amidst adversity, the underlying economic challenges and the complexities of international relations demand careful navigation. The potential for renewed dialogue between the U.S. and China offers a hopeful avenue for resolving tensions, but the window for constructive engagement may be limited as both countries assess their positions. The implications of their decisions will resonate far beyond their borders, shaping the future of global trade and international relations for years to come. In a rapidly evolving trade landscape, President Donald Trump has recently reignited the contentious dialogue surrounding tariffs, particularly with major retailers and the Federal Reserve. As the U.S. prepares to establish new tariff rates for its trading partners, the implications of these policies are reverberating globally, sparking criticism and concern from various sectors. During a recent trip to the Middle East, Trump took to social media to express his dissatisfaction with Walmart, urging the retail giant to absorb the costs of these tariffs rather than pass them on to consumers. Walmart should stop trying to blame tariffs as the reason for raising prices throughout the chain. Walmart made billions of dollars last year, far more than expected. he stated on Truth Social. His remarks come in response to warnings from Walmart about impending price hikes due to rising costs associated with tariffs. The retailer's CEO Doug McMillon had previously indicated that the company would strive to keep prices low but acknowledged the challenges posed by the current tariff environment. Trump also used the occasion to criticize Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, calling for interest rate cuts sooner rather than later. His frustrations with the Fed reflect broader concerns among investors and analysts about the economic impact of tariffs, which many believe could dampen growth and increase inflationary pressures. In a recent post, Trump referred to Powell as legendary for being too late in addressing these economic challenges, highlighting a growing sentiment of urgency among business leaders. As the U.S. administration gears up to finalize tariff rates in the coming weeks, Trump has conveyed that the complexity of trade negotiations necessitates a phased approach. It's not possible to meet the number of people that want to see us, he noted during a meeting with business executives in the United Arab Emirates. This statement underscores the administration's struggle to balance multiple trade relationships simultaneously, particularly with significant players like China and Japan. In the context of these tariff discussions, an intriguing development has emerged concerning China's economic resilience amid the ongoing trade tensions. Recent reports from rural areas such as Malipo in Yunnan province highlight the Chinese government's confidence in its ability to navigate these challenges. Vice Foreign Minister Hua Chunying expressed optimism about China's development model, stating, "We have full confidence and the capability to overcome all difficulties." However, this confidence is juxtaposed with the reality of economic struggles faced by many in rural China, where local vendors report sluggish consumer spending as the effects of the trade war linger. Additionally, while the U.S. tariff policy is shaping domestic markets, it is also influencing China's financial strategies. Data from the U.S. Treasury indicates that China has reduced its holdings of U.S. Treasuries, dropping to the third largest foreign holder as it seeks to diversify its reserves. This shift reflects a strategic response to the uncertainties created by the trade conflict and underscores the interconnectedness of U.S.-China relations. As the situation develops, the implications of Trump's tariff policies will continue to unfold, impacting everything from retail prices to international trade dynamics. With upcoming decisions on tariff rates and ongoing negotiations, all eyes will be on how these policies shape the global economic landscape in the months to come. The broader question remains: will the U.S. economy withstand the pressures of these tariffs, or will the mounting costs lead to a re-evaluation of current trade strategies? As businesses brace for potential changes, the answers will be critical not only for American consumers but for the global economy as a whole. In a week marked by escalating tensions and diplomatic maneuvering, the possibility of conflict between the U.S. and China looms larger than ever, particularly regarding Taiwan. Recent comments from U.S. military officials and political analysts highlight the urgent need for dialogue and strategic restraint as both nations prepare for scenarios that could lead to devastating consequences. Brigadier General Doug Wickert, commanding the 412th Test Wing at Edwards Air Force Base, recently warned local leaders of the potential fallout from a Chinese military offensive against Taiwan. During a briefing, he emphasized that if such a conflict were to occur, the repercussions would likely ripple back to the U.S. mainland, with threats ranging from cyber attacks to direct military strikes. Wickert's remarks underline a stark reality: if this war happens, it's going to happen here, he stated, accentuating the need for readiness to deter aggression from Beijing. This sentiment echoes a broader narrative among U.S. military and government officials who assert that China is rapidly advancing its military capabilities, with some analysts predicting that President Xi Jinping may be preparing his forces for an invasion of Taiwan by 2027. Such an event could ignite a conflict of unprecedented scale, far exceeding the casualties and destruction seen in recent military engagements. The Pentagon has acknowledged that deterring a Chinese attack is now its top priority, necessitating a robust military posture in the Indo-Pacific region. Amidst these tensions, a recent trade truce between Washington and Beijing offered a glimmer of hope for diplomatic resolution.
However, the underlying issues remain complex and fraught with potential for miscalculation.
Michael Swain, a senior research fellow, warned that unresolved trade disputes could escalate into military crises, drawing historical parallels to past conflicts that arose from economic tensions. He cautioned that both nations risk sliding back into a cycle of hostility if they fail to establish effective communication and crisis management mechanisms. The recent agreement to pause tariffs between the two powers signifies a willingness to engage. With former President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping potentially leading the charge towards a diplomatic rapprochement. Analysts suggest that Trump, with his history of unconventional diplomacy, could be the catalyst needed to bridge gaps between the two countries. A direct conversation between the leaders may pave the way for more comprehensive discussions on contentious issues, including trade imbalances and military posturing in the Taiwan Strait. While the prospect of a Trump-Xi summit is enticing, the stakes are high. Any agreement must address the most pressing points of contention, such as military deployments around Taiwan and nuclear arsenals. The U.S. has expressed a desire to negotiate arms control measures, particularly concerning China's rapidly expanding nuclear capabilities. A joint declaration on the sole purpose of nuclear weapons for deterrence could be a starting point for broader discussions on arms reduction. However, these diplomatic overtures do not diminish the reality of military preparations on both sides. The U.S. has been fortifying its military infrastructure across the Indo-Pacific, including refurbishing airstrips and enhancing missile defense systems in Guam, which is viewed as a potential primary target in any conflict with China. As both nations engage in military posturing, there is an urgent need for a strategic dialogue that transcends mere trade agreements. The situation remains precarious, with experts warning that the potential for miscalculation is ever present. The lack of reliable communication channels and experienced diplomatic intermediaries exacerbates the risks as both nations navigate a volatile landscape shaped by historical grievances and mutual distrust. As the world watches the unfolding drama, the actions taken by Trump and Xi will be pivotal in determining whether the two superpowers can avert a catastrophic clash. The time for decisive leadership is now, as both leaders have an opportunity to reshape the narrative and forge a path toward stability and cooperation. Failure to seize this moment could lead to an escalation of tensions that neither party can afford, with consequences that would reverberate far beyond their borders.